Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I've uploaded something. This is the St. Joseph video that I mentioned before. The artwork here is actually not complete. But I wanted to share it anyway just because I haven't uploaded in a while and I wanted to share something that I was working on. You can see here this is basically my classic process of the sketch phase to the full product in iPad. Um, I would say that I'm pretty good at this whole process of turning my pencil sketch into nice clean line art. That is my strength, but I am challenging myself a little bit with these personal works, these religious works, to really take my time and flesh it out into the artwork that I want it to become. Whenever I'm doing commission work, I feel like I'm on a deadline because I'm going to make a certain amount of money, and I want to make sure I'm being fair to myself and finish within that time frame. I give myself a time limit, and I try to work within that time limit. But for personal work like this, I just allow myself to take it slow, trust the process, and not be satisfied and not really settle for something that's less than what I feel like my best ability. So on this one, you could see that it took me a while to get the face right. And this ended up being sort of the facial structure that I ended up being satisfied with. Now, my process has changed a lot over time. So in the past, when you're first figuring out digital art, I would use layers. I would put the sketch in one layer, I would make another layer, make a more refined sketch, and then make another layer and make the line art. And it was this sort of three-step process. But now it's a lot more fluid. All I do now is I just put everything in one layer, as if I'm actually working on a piece of paper, like using a pencil and an eraser. So I'll literally use the pencil brush. I'll use an airbrush eraser and sort of just lightly fade everything, and then I will just draw over that and refine it. That way, if I feel like some lines are good, I don't have to make a whole new layer and copy in those lines. I'm just working all in the same layer. I think one of these days I'll learn how to do that with the color, because I've gotten experience enough where I can just make all the line art and the pencil sketch to line art all in one layer. But I'm not experienced enough where I could just paint over this thing, maybe using a multiply layer, or maybe just painting over it as if you're painting over a sketch in real life on a canvas or something. But I have a lot of experience obviously drawing with pencil and pen and ink, but I don't have a lot of experience painting, and I think it's something I want to work on, something I want to improve on. So I'll work on that. I think I will. Now, for a moment, I do want to transition what I'm talking about away from the artwork and onto life. This piece is very reflective for me. As you can see, it's Saint Joseph, the father of Jesus. There's a lot of artworks of Saint Joseph sort of in a workshop with Jesus, training Jesus, the child Jesus. Now, in a lot of those paintings, Jesus is maybe 12 years old, maybe 16, maybe 8 years old. But I wanted to draw the child Jesus, particularly as a reflection on my own life, where I have two small boys, and they both know how to walk now. But this moment in time, maybe 11, 12, 13 months old, sort of stumbling and learning how to walk and having to hold on to my leg in order to learn how to walk, it's a sort of cute special scene that I thought of, that maybe Joseph is in his workshop, maybe baby Jesus is not supposed to be in there, maybe there's dangers like nails and wood around. But sometimes even if there's a lot of times when I'm cooking in the kitchen, there's a knife on the counter, like there's hot water, and the kids are not supposed to be in there, and they just run up into the kitchen and they grab my leg and they start asking me to pick them up, or bringing me some toys or something. And this is just that moment where, notice, in a lot of artwork, Joseph is holding Jesus, like concentrated, presenting the child Jesus. This is a reflective artwork. It's not one that's meant to be posted up in like a parish, right? Or a church building, where the point of religious artwork is to help you pray. For me, this is more of a reflection piece where it's like a slice of life, a moment in time. Because notice, Joseph is not even facing toward Jesus. The focus is not on Jesus. The focus kind of is on Joseph. But as I paint and as I color it, I want like the lighting, the light source, and like the halo of Jesus to make the focal point Jesus. Because if you're doing religious work and the focal point is not Jesus, then you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So Notice like the eye line, Joseph is looking down at Jesus. His whole being, his whole purpose is to protect the Holy Family. He doesn't show up in the Bible very much. When he does, it's protecting the Holy Family. He's known as a righteous man. He protects the family from Herod. He flees to Egypt. He raises Jesus in a safe, secluded place. He's not rich. As far as we know, they were a humble, pretty poor family, and we didn't really know much about Jesus' life until he started his ministry when he was like 30 years old. The only thing we know about Jesus' childhood is when he got lost. Obviously, when he was born as a baby, and then when he got lost as he was a child. So any sort of artwork that's imagining the life of the child Jesus with Joseph is just going to be that. It's just going to be imagination. So this is not a biblical scene at all. This is just me thinking, I've been a dad, and I know what this is like. Obviously, Jesus is God, right? Jesus, the Son, God the Son, God and man, fully divine and fully human. So Jesus there, this omniscient, all-powerful being, choosing the human state. So choosing to stumble around as a child and choosing to have a dad. This is God choosing to have a dad whom he called Abba. And I think that's what I'm going to title this piece, Abba. Now you can see here I am starting in the basic paint layer. I have that big halo for Jesus. I got in a screenshot of a hammer. That hammer was actually AI generated because I couldn't find a good, I just asked AI to generate, hey, what do you think a mallet or a hammer would look like from St. Joseph's actual time period. I don't know if it's historically accurate, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it looks like it's just a hunk of iron on a piece of wood. I mean, you can imagine that's probably what a hammer would look like. Not trying to be historically accurate here, just trying to reflect. Anyway, you can see the paint layer. I started painting in a background. Eventually, I decided against the background, and I went. You'll see later. I went more toward like a Greek, Eastern paint style where they just do the gold background to represent heaven. I don't know. I'm kind of mixing the ideas because this is a snapshot of life. So they're not in heaven yet in this screenshot, and yet I'm still drawing the saints and Jesus. And ultimately, the point of religious work is to draw people into prayer. And I've learned, as I've been learning about the Eastern Church, that that's what their iconography is all about. It's this sort of weird art style, which is not class. It's not like they studied the anatomy super strongly like you see in the later Western artwork, like in Italian artwork. It's like this funky looking art style where they're looking straight at you, drawing you into prayer, and like the Eastern Church, they kiss the icons. And I wanted to go with that background style, even though it's sort of blending the style. Even Japanese style is incorporated into the way I draw, and it's kind of all pulling it together. I'm running out of time, but I'll talk to you guys in a later video. And I hope you enjoyed this video on St. Joseph. I haven't made a video in a long time. I'm not putting any crazy editing into this one, even though it's something I want to do more in the future. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. God bless. Bye-bye.